This is the West Michigan Sports Show, presented by the United States Air Force. Now, here's your host, Brandon Wirth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the West Michigan Sports Show, presented by our great friends at the Car Center in Rogers Heights. Brandon Wirth joining you here this Saturday on News Radio WBRN. We're back in the great state of Michigan, and it's good to be back. The weather could certainly be better, but hey, the sun was out today, so I'm smiling. We had a good day. But we have a great episode for you here today. I'm going to a talk show format about something that's very passionate of mine, especially the fact that I'm doing this show in of itself weekly and bringing a lot of this coverage to you. What does that coverage mean? Do all schools need to do this? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? We're going to dive into sports media at the high school level. Is it worth schools investing into, or is it something that might be a little overrated and overhyped? We'll get into some of that stuff, the nitty-gritty, and as one that has played at the high school level, that has been covered at the high school level, and now is covering all of those that are playing at the high school level. I certainly have a unique perspective, and I really can't wait to bring it to you guys. But before we get too far into the episode, I do want to make sure that you guys are aware there's been a change at News Radio WBRN as far as our broadcast on our stations. Now, there is 96.5 and 107.7 FM as well as 1460. Now, the biggest thing that will change when it comes to the FM stations, 1460 will be staying as is, but for 96.5 and 107.7, we have now decided to split those broadcasts into one will be a sports-devoted station on 96.5 for our broadcasted sports. Now, you're probably thinking, does the West Michigan Sports Show apply to this? This actually does not apply to this. So, for 96.5, we will be airing Red Wings, Tigers, and eventually once we get into the fall, our great Detroit Lions in the fall. So those will air exclusively on 96.5 FM as well as 1460. On 107.7, every day will be your regularly scheduled programming. So those that love the Mark Levin Show, Dan Bongino, the Michigan Big Show with Michael Patrick Shields, as well as this show, the West Michigan Sports Show, and Behind the Bulldogs. So you don't have to miss out on an episode live over the air because the Red Wings or the Tigers are playing at that time. It will always be on 107.7 every single week so you guys don't miss out. So be sure to stay on 107.7 so you don't miss out on this show, no matter what weekend it is, no matter if the Tigers are playing, no matter if the Wings are in the postseason or when we get to the Lions and they're playing. There will always be a show on Saturdays at 3:30 here for the West Michigan Sports Show. How cool is that, right? So be sure to subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any episodes. If you do happen to miss them, go on to WBRN.com or Spotify or Apple Podcasts so you don't miss out on any of those shows. So hopefully that clears it up. Everybody now can understand what's going on. We wanted to make it a benefit for our audiences for sports as well as our news. So make sure that you always subscribe and so you don't miss out on any of those great things. But big thanks as well goes out to our local sports supporters. Those include Car Center as our primary sponsor. Request the best, request the Car Center when you need body work just down the road in Rogers Heights, as well as you can look up online for appointments at carcentermi.com. All the information is for them. You can find everything, what they do, when you can get in, all that good stuff. As well as our other great sponsors. Those include Johnson's Automotive, Quality Car and Truck Repair, Alter Care Big Rapids, the Schuberg Insurance Agency, Paris Auto Sales and Service of Big Rapids, the Mecosta Career Center, and MODA, the Mecosta Transit Authority. Thank you for your support of the West Michigan Sports Show. And if you want to be a part of it, your business, want to be a sponsor, hit us up here at the Big Rapids Radio Network and Big Rapids Media Network, and we'll get you hooked up here for the West Michigan Sports Show. Also, the rundown. Debut of a new type of format. Obviously, all the fancy bells and whistles aren't necessarily installed yet with our software, but it's going to be a really cool show. If you're a fan of the Wings, the Lions, the Tigers, as well as all the area high school sports in-depth analysis, you're going to love the rundown. But don't worry, West Michigan Sports Show is staying on the air, baby, as well as Behind the Bulldogs, which you can catch before this at 3 o'clock for all of your Ferris State sports coverage. But we've dilly-dallied all enough, so let's get right into it. So, high school sports media. I came across an article that was written by the NFHS, which is the National Federation of High School Sports, and that's where you can go online and watch the games, if that sounds familiar. NFHS, which is the play, perform, compete together, that whole tagline where you can stream online and watch some of your favorite sports teams. There was an article written by Tim Layton back in February of 2023. It was on February 9th, to be exact. And he was talking about the media representation that was going on across the country in high school sports. And I think this was a very interesting article because he talks a lot about what the questions are between the administrators, their team, and who should basically be allowed to cover these events. And I thought this was very interesting when I read it. And I'm not necessarily going to dive into this topic in of itself. We'll discuss it a little bit later on, but more broadly, taking a step back, do high schools need more media coverage? This is a question that I think a lot of high schools, especially the local ones in our area, that might necessarily be lacking as far as a lot of that professional access. Like, for example, Kent County schools in Grand Rapids, they have a lot of institutions, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses that do that kind of work already. But Grand Rapids is kind of limited when it comes to it, and especially the surrounding areas and other schools in our area and our conference that don't necessarily have the access to the resources that Big Rapids has nonetheless. And Big Rapids really doesn't have as much either. So do all that as schools need more media coverage? I'll give you my answer. Of course they do, because it's great and it's a really good avenue for bringing the community around your sports together. I think that's a big thing about it. If you need building fan base, if you want more interaction with fans and coaches and players and staff, then that's the best way to do it, right? Invent some type of media, whether it's just taking photos at the game. It can be as simple as that. Somebody has a camera and some photog skills, or better yet, teachers are listening here, a student that might want to exhibit their skills, get some practice, especially those that do that one thing. What's that book we all keep in our nightstands for years and years, collect them all the time? Oh yeah, yearbooks. Yes, get your yearbook club involved. If not, try to make one and get participation there. So you can have a lot of these things. But when it comes to media, a lot of people therefore would probably agree that it would be nice to have more media coverage of a lot of our teams, whether it's in print on a newspaper, whether it's digital on video, whether it's photos, whether it's even audio, where it's radio broadcasting, or even maybe it's just a podcast. Podcasts are super easy, y'all, to get your school on board with a podcast. Really, there are so many hosting platforms that do it for free. They let you record on a platform. You don't have to go out and rent super expensive software like Adobe. You can go right into that app, that domain. You connect a microphone and a round table and you're good to go, right? There's so many ways that you can do this, and it's super easy and super accessible now. And especially in a competing market, there's always going to be people trying to make it cheaper, faster, better, and more convenient for everybody to make some of these things. Now, when it comes to what schools need, I think that's the secondary question that we often skip the first and go to the second, right? Because I think everybody would agree, like I said, that there needs to be more media coverage. What does that mean? What do more schools need to do? Well, I have immersed myself in a lot of these categories already, both at the high school level and at the collegiate level. Now, the collegiate level is expected. There's no doubt about it, especially where Fair State's at the Division II level, the GLIAC, as well as some of the other schools that we have, D3, D1. In the NCAA, it's almost guaranteed you need to have media coverage, whether it's radio broadcasters following your team, photos of the contests or your athletes competing, whether it's all of these things like media pressers for the newspapers when they write the articles about the game, talking to the coaches, talking to the players. There has to be some sort of access and there has to be some sort of display of media around these teams, right? And obviously the more you give, the more fans you get, the more loyal they get because they're expecting more. They're reading more about their team. They're diving in. They're being more devoted, right? So that's a huge part of it. Now, for high schools, what's the expectation, right? What are schools expected to do by the fans? Well, I'll tell you those here when we get to the second half after our commercial break coming up here in just a minute. But there is a huge need for media because it helps build the community of your team with your community, with businesses in your town, advertising opportunities, all of these great things to help build the image of your athletic program and your school in general. Absolute must. Now, how much you do it, how much what each category may be: video, digital, print, for example, social media. How does that now apply, right? Social media is the most huge takeoff point that sports has been able to grasp and take advantage of in the media aspects, right? I think there's still some industries, news, and some of these other industries that have really they've started to gradually move towards it. Sports has jumped straight off the deep end right into the thick of it, and now it's immersed in all of our lives. You know when a major player in the NBA is traded within 2 minutes, right? That's not how it used to be, right? You'll know the final score of a basketball game faster than the prints can come out the next morning in the newspaper like Grandpappy and your parents did back in the day. It's a whole different ballgame. So social media is one of the huge key ways that you can boost this. And I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. So with that being said, got to take a break. We'll pay some bills, but I promise we'll be right back. I'm going to dive in. What can your school do to improve your media? And especially, how does that apply with the new technology of social media? We'll be right back on the West Michigan Sports Show here on News Radio WBRN. We return to the West Michigan Sports Show presented by our great friends at the Carr Center. Before we get into the methods of the madness on how your school can up their media game in the sports world and get into social media and all that sort of stuff, I wanted to let you guys know about something really cool that just happened here at the Big Rapids Media Network, and that is bigrapids.bigdealsmedia.net. That's the URL. You can go there right now as I'm talking about it on your cell phone or your computer, bigrapids.bigdealsmedia.net. You're probably thinking, what is that? It's the Big Country Big Deals. It's the Big Country Big Auction on a website 24/7. Now, how cool is that? So go on there right now. You can get a whole business list. You can even get into the mobile app so that you don't miss out on all these deals. You can get it right there on your phone, on Google Play Store, or as well as the Apple App Store. But all great big deals categorized for you. They'll be on there. There's a today's big deal on what's the biggest thing going out there right now. And you can find all of this stuff online. Once again, bigrapids.bigdealsmedia.net. It's a mouthful, but it makes sense when you get there. You can also find it on all the station sites. It's already linked on a rotating graphic that will be right there on the header of the website, so you shouldn't miss it. But gift cards, a bunch of goodies for 10, 15, 20, 30, even over 50% off. You can find those all there. All great local businesses around Big Rapids, Barrington, Howard City, Morley, the whole 9 yards. All you can ask for, Big Country, Big Auction style, there at bigrapids.bigdealsmedia.net. So go on there right now. We just launched it. A lot of hard work has been going into it, and we can't wait to bring it to you guys because it's super exciting to get all these local businesses some support. And what a better way to do it on an online website where people can go online, get some gift certificates for their family and loved ones for birthdays, holidays, so on and so forth. So you can go on there and find out all the information. You can also hear from Etch on Big Country with Mornings with Etch. He'll be talking about it as well, as we'll get that there going to get a lot of that promoted. So there you go. Right now, you get the exclusive. It just launched yesterday. bigrapids.bigdealsmedia.net. Go there for all the big country, big deals in Big Rapids. So we return. Media in sports in high school. What should your school do? Now, I think there are many ways that people can do social media and they can do sports media and really succeed. Now, the number one way, as I alluded to before we left here for the commercial break in the first segment, is social media. Creating Facebook account, an Instagram account, an X account, which formerly known as Twitter, or two of those, a combination, all three, those are huge. Now, what can you do with social media, right? The biggest thing that I think everybody could really, really use, and this is especially for parents, especially for fans that are looking to go to games, and those especially that are in the winter months or the early spring months, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Mother Nature can be a pain in the rear. Now, games get canceled, they get postponed, they get moved in times. A way to help make that communication broad, because obviously the parents and the athletes get told themselves, but what about the other fans, right? What about the other fans that are committing a 4 to 8 o'clock hour slot of their day to go watch their local high school softball or baseball team, track team in the spring, whatever it may be, or giving up their Friday night to go to the football game or they're going to a basketball game, right? If there's changes that are made and they don't know about it, that's not going to send a good message, right? Having some people connected with social media is crucial, right? You can post updates. You can post a lot of the information as well. Forms. A lot of athletes got to get their forms in, especially with their physicals. A lot of that information can be published on social media, right? Having parents and a lot of these other athletes as well aware of a lot of the stuff that's going on at their school is absolutely crucial when it comes to their sport, when it comes to practices, whatever it may be. Now, not every team necessarily has to have one individually. I've seen quite a few schools that have had people able to do that, and it's very successful. I'm not going to tell you that that has to happen with every school because, let's be frank, it's not possible for every school, and that's okay. Now, just having a baseline, one general account. If there's any information on a sport, it can be published, right? And it's not necessarily has to be the AD that's doing this, right? The athletic director already has a lot going on. The athletic director secretary has a lot going on. If it's just a volunteering parent, whether it's somebody that's very skilled with technology, somebody that's at the games that can provide score updates, right? We're always looking for the score, right? As much as I understand that a lot of people listen to radio and get all the play-by-play, not everybody's near a radio on a Friday night. Not everybody's near radio on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Monday night, Thursday night, whenever the game's being played. So how do they get to it? Can they get to internet? They might not be near a radio, but they can get to internet, which I would therefore go ahead and plug that. You can say you can go listen on our app, but that's to you or there. Whether if you don't have a radio station, now how are they going to know what the score is, right? Oh, they'll look on MHSA.com the next day. Some of the older generation doesn't know that website exists. They don't know about it, and that's not a care to them, and that's fine, right? Having a social media account would be huge for some of these people because a lot of people have social media accounts in the older generation because they're on Facebook. They want to follow and see pictures of their grandkids, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that's going to be with every single person in the population. I understand that there's going to be people that will be missed in everything that I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes or so, but keeping people up to date, scores, updates on practices, a lot of that stuff. Social media is a key for that. You don't have to be a graphic design engineer wizard. You can get a template. There's a lot of them online. You can use Canva. You can use Adobe if you're fancy enough and know all the bells and whistles and all of those good tools. But there's a lot of free templates out there that you can use to post a lot of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying go rip off the internet and use copyright infringement. I'm not going to tell you to do that. But there's a lot of ingenuitive ways that you can do that, right? So maybe it's not necessarily Instagram because you don't have anybody that can make that graphical material, or maybe you do, and you take advantage of that over some other schools. That's a big thing that needs to be addressed. Putting forms, scheduling updates, score information, all that stuff needs to go on a social media website. I think it's imperative more now than ever. Should every school have an athletics website? I would say yes. Now, this could be substituted by having a social media page, right? Some sort of a landing page for all athletics, for all that information. A website would be just as good because you could separate it, but website's got to be kept up. That's the bottom line. Social media too, but even more than ever, a website has to be kept up. Otherwise, it's going to kind of fall. It's going to be pretty much pushed off the web, and it's going to be hard to find it. So nature of it is establish social media. And if you really get traction, you have more opportunities, you have people more able to use and put out articles maybe on the game, a lot of information online, then maybe you can make a website. And that can be kind of the next step forward. But I wouldn't say every school needs a website, but social media should be the bare minimum at that point for how easy it is to make websites. Obviously cost money in a lot of development. So social media can be an alternative of that. Should every school have a radio play-by-play? Boy, I wish the answer was yes, but unfortunately it's no. It's just the nature of reality of where we are geographically. Not every place is going to have a radio station that can broadcast your game. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Radio has died off the last couple of years, and I mean couple of the last 20 years, right? There's only so many standing left. Big Rapids is fortunate enough to have one, and obviously we can cover a lot of the games in the CSAA. Thankfully enough, in the central West Michigan area, there's a couple over on the West Coast near Ludington, so on and so forth, where they can cover more of the West Michigan Conference, and it's just really kind of it's hit or miss when it comes to your team getting direct coverage. Now, if you have the opportunity, go out and get it, right? If you have somebody that can reach you and they have the people that can help broadcast your games, Go for it. It's a great way to help partner with yourself, get yourself into the community, your school name, I should say, in that area, saying, hey, our football games, if they're on the air, go to xx.xfm and you can listen to the games. And now people can start to be like, oh, okay. Now if I'm gone, I know exactly where I can dial. And that's just the way that it helps you be able to create that coverage. Should every team have a photographer? Oh, this one is tough because photography sounds so much easier than it is. It's the reality. Photography is a hard art to master, right? Everybody can pick up a camera, shoot, have a decent shot, and be like, yeah, I'm not bad. But getting good shots is really hard to do. And you can't necessarily just go in to every game and try to take phone pictures the whole time. Can it fill a void? Sure, it can. And if that's the first step up, start there. Now, if you have somebody that's really skilled with a Canon or a Nikon that knows exactly what apertures are, they know exactly what shutter speeds are, they know exactly the speed of continuous that you can have all of these series of images made together. Now, if you have somebody that knows their stuff, then absolutely try to get them involved. Now, I understand, like, the more I'm talking about this, probably people are like, we don't have that, we don't have that, we don't have that. I understand. Just giving you ideas, because when you can get a person to take photos, if you can get a person to broadcast play-by-play, if you can get a person that can run a social media account, now, if you can keep expanding that and keep growing it, your school not only gets more image out there around whatever area you're in, and especially on the internet, your school also gets opportunities for revenue. Advertising. How can you get businesses involved? Supporting your local high school teams by these avenues of coverage, right? If you went out and asked a lot of businesses and they would say, oh, we can be a sports sponsor for this local team. Well, shoot, my son plays on the football team and I would absolutely love to help and make this so we can help get scores and information out to them faster. You know, be their partner, right? They want to be involved with the team. If a team goes to the state finals, by golly, the businesses are going to want to be a part of it too. And they'll help support your school. Right? There's a big opportunity for a lot of schools to partner with businesses to help build some of these media networks. It doesn't have to be the level of a college. I can't stress that enough. Social media account with some photos, information, scores, all of that, all the up-to-date information, that can be the bare minimum. I think that is the bare minimum that we should see. Now, I'm not necessarily saying if you don't have it, shame on you, you're shunned. You'll never ever get to the level of sports media. That's not what I'm saying. Now, if you're looking to boost your school through the way of athletics, there's your ticket. Build your social media platform. Build the brand of your school. Create information. Create consistency. Biggest key, consistency. Constantly posting. Keeping people up to date constantly is so important. And if you show that you care to your parents, to your athletes, to your fans, they will show that same enthusiasm and passion back to you. No question about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get this episode of this podcast. And until next week, we'll see you later here on the West Michigan Sports Show. Brandon Wirth saying, see you later.